I hope your experience networking at the tables was a good one. And I know this can be challenging, but as you guys know, I'm into trying new and different things and trying to get us back as close to the old world that we had. And I think this platform, when it works right, it really gives you the feel of being at a conference and networking with other folks. So I hope it's helpful to you. And Marketing Masterminds group is my guinea pig because I know you guys are open to new ideas and testing things out. The last thing I want to do is sort of break in this on one of our topics where we feature a doctor or something like that, where we might have some elders and family members in the audience as well. So I can't see it on my screen, but could somebody raise their hand in the audience? And I want to call on you just to, okay, so Brian Miller. Okay, here, I'm going to do Brian. Brian's got his hand raised. Whoops. Well, let me see. Okay, Latasha has got her hand raised. So I'm going to say yes. And I just want to bring Latasha on and have her tell us. Hey, Latasha.
Hello, Mr. Steve. Thank you for today. This was amazing.
Oh, well, we haven't even started yet, so thank you.
Yeah, but, just sitting at the table with the ladies.
Oh, good. So, Latasha, first off, just quickly tell us who you are, and then and what organization you're with, and then if you could tell us where did you go to raise your hand on your screen.
Okay, my name is Latasha Williams. I am the Director of Client Services with a company called Senior Helpers located in the Alexandria, Arlington area. We provide services for the 55 and older communities. Down at the bottom screen, where before you see the camera, the mic, the share screen, there's a icon that says raise hand or ask question, and you can hit the raise hand there.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks a lot. I hope we hear from you later today because I want this to be an interactive discussion. I'm going to put you back in the audience and we'll get started with today's discussion. And guys, don't worry. We're going to have a how was it at your table? Were you communicating with the other people you're sitting with?
I was communicating. Those ladies gave good information and I can't wait to get back to the table to finish it up.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. All right, good seeing you, Latasha. Okay, all right. So Latasha's back. So hopefully with that little tutorial there, everybody knows now how you raise your hand. And I'm really excited for us to have audience participation, okay? The other thing you could be doing while I'm babbling here for a few minutes, and I'm gonna try to be brief, I know that's hard for me, but is updating your profile. And I think you can do that in the upper right-hand corner where it says My Profile. And you can put in your LinkedIn profile, your website, your Facebook. You can put a few words about yourself. You can put your photo up there. Again, we're used to doing this networking in the Zoom platform where everything is in chat and it's sort of more anonymous. You can look down the participants list, click on participants. You can see everybody who's signed up and their profiles and things of that nature. So that's some of the cool things about this platform. So anyways, I really want this to be an interactive discussion today. And let's see, I've got, well, I'll bring on Christy and Liz a little bit later. Let me kind of go through the concept that I want to talk about today. And what it is my goal today, hopefully you guys can see my screen, but my goal today is for us to discuss updating and creating marketing materials in this new COVID world. And as many of you may have known, when we got hit with a left hook with this COVID, especially our industry, I sort of put the brakes on doing the next issues of Sourcebook. And that's what moved us into these digital platforms and things of that nature. As things are opening up, we are moving towards updating the new issues of Sourcebook. What you see on the screen that I'm sharing with you right now, to the left is the last Philadelphia edition that we did that came out in January of 2020. And what you see on the right is a prototype of the cover that we are working on for the one that's going to come out in August. And this is our Philadelphia regional edition. And this really is what I hope our discussion is going to center around today. It's how do we sort of communicate senior living in the new world. And you know, as you can see, the cover we've got there, it's a creative use. So this community that's featured in our cover story, the story that they wanted to tell is that they tested 100% of their residents and staff, and the story revolves around that. And so they use this sort of creative usage of a photograph to talk about a very challenging topic, to illustrate a very challenging topic in a fun and humorous way. This is a prototype of the next DC edition cover that we're playing around with, and sort of, you know, what we're saying is zooming into a new era of senior living, because, you know, Zoom and digital platforms are such a part of communicating with our residents, our families, our loved ones, and staff. And so, and you can see I've shared some of our editorial content here to give you sort of a glimpse of some of the things we're working on to transparently illustrate the challenges that we're facing and the solutions that are being employed to make our clients and our residents and our members safe and secure. And so, like, this is sort of an infographic that we're using that I think sort of illustrates and is a great way of thinking about retooling our material, where on the left hand of the page, we are not sort of hiding the fact that COVID-19 has enormous impact on the senior living industry and our loved ones. But on the right-hand side of the page, we're sharing, you know, some of the really positive solutions that our community of providers has come together to make things better for us. So now this image here, this graphic that I'm sharing on the screen, I just quickly went through the last DC issue of Sourcebook, and I didn't want to capture full ads because I don't want anybody to sort of feel like, oh, geez, you know, my ad's not designed well. The fact is, we designed some amazing ads and marketing back in the pre-COVID world that now when you look at them, it's sort of like, holy cow, I can't believe that image and copy is not as relevant as it was 6 months ago. Great example is two elders enjoying a movie theater. I mean, we can't go to movie theaters right now. So, you know, updating that marketing material is essential. I'm hopeful we're going to get back to it, but to make our marketing and communication relevant, we gotta kind of look at stuff a little bit differently. You can see there's two articles that I pulled. This is not just advertising, it's sort of our editorial. I mean, this in the lower left-hand corner, this stock photo of, you know, a bunch of happy elders, you know, holding hands. That's something that we're not doing right now. And so we're going to need over the next 6, 8 months, years to play around with some of these images so that our content looks relevant to our readers and to the parties that are interested in the services in Sourcebook. On the upper right-hand corner, I've got an image of 4 elders playing cards in close proximity with each other without PPE. We all know that that's a positive image there, but it's not necessarily representative of what's going on right now. And I pulled a couple of images from ads. Somebody somebody giving their parent a kiss at a nursing home. Not something that's going on right now. Now this may be something where an image like that could be communicated in a home care environment, that you can still give your mom a kiss because she's living at home. But we all know I'm not kissing my parents right now, and for fear that I could transfer a virus. And then what I put on down at the bottom here is just a team shot from an ad. This is a beautiful team shot. All of us have done these, but it's sort of like when you look at that image right now, we can't stand in close proximity to our coworkers right now. So that image may be dated in our marketing materials, and there may be a more creative way to explain that we have this wonderful team of providers. Okay, so I know I'm babbling. I promise I'm going to stop, and I want you guys to raise your hands, and I want this to be a group discussion. I am, at this point, I'm going to bring on 2 people that are very important to me, and that's my editor, Christy Bruden, and Liz Yap. And I think I can click on their images here. Oh, okay, Liz, and then Christy. So to let you guys know who these 2 are, I wanted them on hand for this discussion today. Liz, and we'll probably see Christy in a bit, but Liz Yap is the graphic designer for Sourcebook, and she's these two women have worked for me over the last probably 2.5 decades as full-time employees and as contractors, and currently the way we run Positive Aging Sourcebook. These 2 are awesome freelancers. They work for probably some of you in the audience in either writing or designing marketing materials. But for purposes of this discussion today, when we're looking at our marketing communication, there's 4 key elements that I want to highlight. And it would be awesome if some of you guys have examples that you want to share, but I'm going to kind of run through this. And Liz and Christy, feel free to jump in, okay? But the first is words and copy. And so I want to give you a few ideas that can save you time, money, and energy. And these are lessons I've learned myself, but have also lessons that I've learned from working with advertisers and marketers for so many years. So one of the common issues that I have is that I hear is with my with the clients is that where I'm designing an ad or a brochure, and my company has hired this awesome marketing firm, and I don't like anything they presented to me. It's not relevant to how I would communicate our services. And what I find in those situations is that the marketing firm, or the person who's assisting in creating copy, doesn't have enough information. And so I always recommend is that when you're going into marketing meetings to update your material, write down anything and everything. Give your team as much information as possible, and share with them your viewpoint, because you may have, a common issue that's occurred is that, and again, this is not drawing an ageist stereotype, but you've got a 25-year-old copywriter who has a totally different perception of what an assisted living and a home care agency does compared to what you actually deliver. So the more information you can give them, the better chance you're going to get to good copy. And this is the other thing. You guys get way too many emails from me, okay? And there are way too many grammatical errors in my emails, okay? And that's because I don't pass them to Christy, okay? And so a lesson that I've learned over the years is that if I can plan out my marketing and I can make sure that I can run copy by Christy, 99% of the time I am way more happy with it. It has minimal errors. It communicates what I want written. When I dash out an email and press send, 5 minutes later, I usually read my email and I find 5 or 6 errors in it. And I just hope that it doesn't reflect ill on me. And that's a very important thing. You guys know me, okay? You guys know I deliver a quality product, that my heart's in the right place, this, that, and the other. But the important thing is most of our marketing material is going to people that don't know you and don't know your organization. So a misspelling of one word, an incorrect statement can have a dramatic impact on your organization. Christy, you want to add anything to that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. And I would just reiterate that everyone needs an editor. I need an editor. Everybody needs a second set of eyes or a third set of eyes or whatever set it is on everything they're producing, because especially when you're really close to something, it's really easy to overlook those errors and those mistakes, and also just to not have a different perspective, and the perspective, to be way too familiar with your content that you don't have the perspective to see how the readers are interpreting it and receiving it. And I also think that the one thing I do like the idea of, I always tell people to kind of dump data on me and give me as much information as possible, as Steve said. And it's kind of my job to then process that and make it make sense and make it something that is digestible. And a lot of the times, especially in ads, I think there's a tendency to try to say too much. And most of my job is to cut it down and to really make it to something that is digestible in the 20 seconds that people might spend engaging with it. So, and especially now, I think that is best conveyed by acknowledging the situation that we're in and how difficult it has been, like we did in some of the copy in our upcoming section, but then also saying, this is what we're doing, this is how we're responding, and feeling comfortable celebrating that. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think the message is everyone does need an editor, whether that's an in-house editor or an outside editor. You need more sets of eyes on it. And you need to make sure that somebody else is kind of reviewing your message to make sure it is received in the way you intend it.
And before we kind of jump to pictures and that tell 1,000 words and enable us to have more concise copy, one thing that I want to make very clear that's very important in our field is ageist language, okay? And so, for example, you might be sort of like on a tight budget and you've got a niece or nephew who is at, some prestigious journalism school or, just an excellent writer. But we know in our field how long it takes to sort of adopt a proper viewpoint of aging that is positive and it's not ageist. And it's what I've seen over the years is how easy it is for young writers or writers that don't have knowledge in our field to sort of use terminology that can be demeaning to the customers that we are trying to reach. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sort of spotlighting Liz and Christy here, because it's taken us as a team years to sort of, and people pointing out mistakes that we've made to sort of be able to create material that we feel is I would say, as least offensive as possible to the audience that we're trying to reach. Because let's face it, guys, our audience a lot of times doesn't want to hear or see the messages that we're conveying. There's denial that I am in this boat. And so making sure that we present it in the right way. So thanks, Christy. So the next bullet point that I've got on here are images, okay? And this is where, but it's always best to start with copy and have, get your copy dialed in, get it down to the least amount of words as possible. And then also, if you've got an editor or somebody that can suggest potential images that could go with the copy, that makes it very easy for the next part of our journey, which is finding appropriate images that are going to help tell the story, the combination of words and images, and combined with that, the creative concept that you are looking to illustrate. Now, I always like to give you guys low-cost solutions, and one of the reasons why I've got Christy and Liz here is, for some of you guys who might be with large organizations that have marketing departments, or you're hiring a full-service ad or marketing firm, really this is what's going on. It's sort of like, okay, okay, let's write up our copy, and then you have this song and dance that goes between graphic designer, and then you as the client are presented with your first round. What I'm sort of showing you is how you can do it yourself and how you can save money. You can save money by putting as many thoughts as you can down on paper, getting an editor to clean that up. Then you can take that copy and go to an artist and convey what you're trying to do. And I'm going to give you a few little cost-saving tips here. So on images, and this is one of the things, take a look at all of your marketing material, and hopefully we can do this with one of you, at least today, where we look at an ad or look at a brochure and say, okay, how can I update this to be more relevant in COVID-19? So there are tons of awesome, affordable stock photo resources, dozens, literally. Type in stock photos in Google, you'll find dozens. I'm not endorsing iStock Photo, but I'm just using it for purpose of illustration. So let's say you've got a brochure that needs updating, or a flyer that you're doing, and you want to embrace the fact that you are addressing PPEs in your organization, okay? So you could type into iStock Photos, seniors with masks, and here's my little sense of humor. A photo like this is going to come up, okay? These are seniors wearing masks, but what you're going to see now is there are dozens of relevant, appropriate photos that you could use to sort of blend into your program. And again, I know a lot of us want authentic photos of our residents and our clients, but in short term, you may need to use a few stock photo images to just fine tune your presentation. Okay, so let's say you pick out a few photos and you got your copy from that you wrote and was edited up, and now you're going to go to a designer and you want to create a flyer or an ad in Sourcebook or Washington Post or something else. You're going to if you can go to that designer with a concept, as opposed to sort of like, hey, here's my copy, pick some photos and make an ad for me. If you're paying for that designer on an hourly basis, you're going to save money by giving that designer some good ideas in the direction that you're going on. And so you could find sample ads and things like that. But I want to share another thing that can save you some time and money and help you with this. And it's a website called Canva. It's a free website, and you can basically play around with the copy and move it into different places. It won't look it won't be final copy ready art, but if this is what you're passing to your designer, he or she is going to be able to move much quicker, not charge you as much, and get the product that you're going to be happy with. Okay, so Liz, any food for thought on that in terms of, helpful tips that might help our audience?
Yeah, there are a lot of resources out there. Steve had mentioned Canva is an excellent resource to just play around with, but they do a lot of templated social media. So if you're looking for quick social media without having to pay for it, but you want to drop in your own image and type in your own message, they have templates that make that very easy. And then you just download, export them out to your platform, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, wherever your social media voice is. So, but there are also reasonable websites where you pay either per image or you can pay a monthly subscription. I use Adobe Stock because for $30 a month, I get 10 free images. So I don't have to keep that subscription every month. I can shut it off. I can turn it back on. So these are ways that you can look at saving money to go in and look every once in a while for maybe some images that might work. We try to make sure that clients are aware if each client has similar images or the same image, to let them know maybe they don't want to go in that direction and make other suggestions. But yeah, I have noticed that there are a lot more. There's also free website images download that are downloadable, not quite the quality, but they're out there. You just have to be careful of copyright. Just double check everything. Sometimes they'll say it's free as long as you put a credit on it. So watch for that. And using Christie or any copy editor too to come up with the right punch headline, the right kind of concept will help drive it visually. So if you can come up with your little niche of what you want to say, the most important part of your message there can drive an image, and that will make it definitely more powerful for you. And like Steve said, things can streamline much more quickly through a design department, whether it's your ad agency you're currently using, or if you outsource to someone. You cut that down when we don't have to ask a lot of questions. We don't have to go through multiple rounds of reviews. And then additionally, going back to what Christy had said with the copy editing, the less edits you make, the less money you spend. So if you refine that copy, you get it ready, you get it to whatever art department that you're using, then you're not going back and changing a word here or a comma there or a phrase there, or, oh, we forgot to add the website, or we forgot to do this. That also adds money, because every time someone has to touch it, they have to bill you. So just remember that if you can keep it real tight and clean, everybody signs off on it, have a couple of eyes. Even if you write it all, somebody edits it, then have one more person look at it, sign off on it, everybody. But those things happen, edits happen at the last minute, and that's fair. So we're flexible, we're fluid with all of that up until we have to get it to the printer.
Cool. And so here, I'm gonna, hopefully you guys can see this. I'm gonna share my screen because I want to illustrate a couple of other things. So before COVID-19, when we talk about images, the biggest issue that we had to deal with was equal housing opportunity, okay? So for example, and many of you know this, like with senior living communities, is that the diversity of your, when you're showing live people in your ads, the diversity of that has to reflect the geographic region where you are, and you have to have one of these little equal housing symbols in your ad as well. And so for a lot of communities, the approach that they would take is, okay, well, I'm just not going to show images of people. I'm going to show images of my buildings and the real estate. So as you can hopefully see here, with these communities, that's what they're doing. And so, what you can see is that sort of, if you're concerned about what images you want to show, picking non-human images can be a safe way to go. And then perhaps you create some copy that says, we're a COVID safe community, or, we are these are the steps that our community is taking to address safety and issues like that. So I know I'm babbling here. I would love it if somebody would raise their hand and
I think Ramsey
sort of
has his hand up, or at least from before. Ramsey.
Oh, Ramsey. Okay, let's see if Ramsey's on board. Ramsey has his hand raised. I would love to. Oh, Ramsey, man, I haven't seen you in years.
I just raised my hand when you asked for someone to raise your hand.
Oh, back there. Well,
but great to see you all,
Ramsey,
and thank you for presenting this. That has been very, very helpful.
Well, Ramsey, if you don't mind, first off, like, let everybody know what organization you represent.
Sure. I'm with Options for Senior America. We are a senior in-home care group for 31 years. We started in 1989, one of the oldest in the country, as a matter of fact. And I'm currently the CEO, and we're franchising all over the country.
Great. And folks who are in the audience, if you raise your hand, I'd love to sort of, if we can dig into this topic in terms of updating materials, that would be great. But Ramsey, since I've got you on, share with us kind of some of the successes and challenges that your organization is facing in COVID-19.
Well, in line of what you and Christy and Liz said, which is very, very relevant, in March, when everyone went home and we sent our people home March 15th to May 31st. And here's an organization that we never, ever closed 4 days in a row in our 31 years of working, because we are available to our customers. Not even Friday after Thanksgiving, there's always someone at the office answering phones. And here we are, we had to close for 2 months and a half, but we took our phones home and people lived up to the expectation. And we announced that we're available to our clients, not 8:30 to 5, but 8 to 8. And that went a long ways, because people realized that during the pandemic, during COVID, Options staff were available to us to refer our sources and to the community, to our clients. We are available 24/7 through our staff. And we made it a point, back to what you said, Steve, that on our website, we changed the main picture and we put a picture of our care providers with the mask, with the Options mask that looks like this. So, so it was important for us to make sure that we are, going along with what's going on in life now. And we've seen many children making sure that their parents are pulled out from facilities and going back home to provide one-on-one care to reduce the risk of getting the virus. So this has been, I hate to say it, this has been a boost to the in-home care industry in the last 3-4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, but just the other day, I think there's so much confusion in the marketplace, and that's sort of one of the messages that I want. Here, I'll take you off there, Ramsey.
Okay. Thank you.
There's so much confusion in the marketplace in terms of what is this, whether it be a home care provider or a community, what are they doing to ensure that my mom and dad can be safe? And I was kind of surprised the other day, because I agree the changes have definitely had this sort of shift from where a lot of the dialogue I hear is, oh, my mom was getting ready to go to an assisted living, but we hired a home care agency, and we're glad we did it, or blah, blah, blah. But I was at a 4th of July picnic where a friend of mine has their parent living at home, and she was like, she said to me, after this is all done, I want to talk to you about in-home care. And I was like, wait, she was unaware that the in-home care providers are taking steps to make sure that, parents are safe when they're in your home. And that is kind of the theme that me, Christy, and Liz are working on with Sourcebook. Is we feel it's our job to tell all of these stories and give the consumer confidence in our industry as a whole, whether it be a nursing home, hospice, or a home care provider. I'm not sure anybody's going to raise their hand to participate. I think Ramsey stole the show, but Christy, can you share some of this? You've been working on some great articles, and I think, sort of, is there anything that sort of comes to mind that might give our marketing audience some ideas in terms of the stories they should be telling through their marketing materials?
Sure. Well, we did for our Delaware Valley, Pennsylvania edition, we did a couple of really, really great stories about some innovative ways people have been doing activity programs, doing efforts to keep residents in touch with their families. And some of those have been extremely powerful. For instance, there's a community in Pennsylvania that had one of their families build this entirely like plexiglass visiting booth that they put on the porch of the facility. And so the residents can come down and visit and physically see their kids, their grandkids, etc., and, visit with them. And then a staff member comes in and completely sanitizes the entire thing, and the next resident comes down for their scheduled visit. And that was all just them reaching out to their community of families and saying, does anyone have any innovative ways that we could do this so that we could get some more face time for our residents? And there's been so much of that. There's also a couple of communities that I've spoken with who've done really amazing things with their dining programs that have really expanded the offerings in terms of what is available, from having staff members, whether that's the activities staff or whoever, or the dining staff, go out and shop for residents so that they can still do preparing meals in the home while remaining distant, or just increasing the amount of deliveries. And we've had some communities that were doing frozen meals, even that were, chef prepared meals that were prepared in-house, then frozen and delivered to the residents. So just a lot of different things that people have done. And I think one of the other things that people shouldn't hesitate to do, and it does seem like until I started reaching out to people, they were, is to celebrate what they've accomplished, right? Like we had several communities that in our cover story that are featured that did 100% testing facility-wide. And, I think it is not only okay, but it's important to celebrate that, and that, they went above and beyond what was required by local authorities, and they did it on their own. They didn't wait for the government to intervene. They didn't wait for assistance or guidance from even like a corporate office. They decided, okay, we need to know what's going on in our buildings. We need to have a full grasp of the situation. And they took initiative and they did it without any assistance. And I think it's pretty amazing that some of these communities have just taken this on and done it. And that's one of the things that we're trying to really celebrate. And we definitely want to hear from you. And Steve can give my contact information out after this. But if you're doing something, tell us so that we can tell the world, because I do feel like from both, high levels and low levels, there's been way too much focus on the negative, right? And the industry as a whole has been kind of scapegoated in this whole thing. And, it's incredible what you all and your staff have done to keep people safe, keep people connected, and to weather this that no one could have predicted and no one could have been, frankly, any better prepared for. So I'm just happy to be able to share those stories. But I do think, there's just been a hesitancy to kind of talk about like, well, while there is a lot of really sad stories out there, there are also a lot of positive stories.
Great, Christy. Thanks for sharing that. And guys, we really want to, I hope that the next versions of Sourcebook just blow you away at telling the stories of our communities. I got Tina Prinz, has got her hand raised. Tina, can you hear me? Oh, there you are. Hey,
wanted to talk a little bit from the perspective of residential living communities. I've been working with 2 clients for 20 plus years. And for us, the message is preparing, knowing, using this downtime. You've got all this downtime, research, picking a retirement community is like picking a college for your child. You research, visit virtually. I know we've been really beefing up virtual tours, creating photo galleries, and then speaking to all the benefits people have had who lived here. You've got grocery delivery, you've got, virtual healthcare, really showing the benefit of being in a retirement community during COVID. You have all of this available to you that if you lived at home, you had to find someone to buy your groceries. You didn't have takeout that was steps away. So we've been really playing to the benefits. In fact, we did a mailer talking about better times are ahead. Get ready to.
Oh.
And we created a virtual ebook that walks people through how to choose. Do you make the best decisions? And we talked about how the communities have been prepared for crises like this, that there's protocols in place. And then just talking about how do you decide for your future? Explain to people there's a wait list. So really it's using this time, especially for residential living, is start feeding the pipeline for the future, getting people to realize there's a wait list. You can't just say next year, I'm going to move. You might be waiting for 5 years for that apartment you want, or that cottage you want, or looking at communities that are building. Well, they might be 5 years out with the style you want. So we've been really using the opportunity to just educate and show the visuals. Like we haven't really been playing. We've been using other sources for conveying COVID, what we've been doing. We've been using email blasts and updating, the blog every week saying we have no cases. We've been doing the testing and using those to kind of keep people in touch, but kind of still using the marketing literature to portray the active lifestyle you can have here with kind of downplaying COVID. It's almost like residential living. They want to know life care is there, but you don't want to show it. So we've kind of been taking that perspective with marketing literature for residential, not really showing COVID, but talking about it on social media, because that, in my mind, is a better platform for talking about the current issue. But for residential living, it's showing the pictures of the lifestyle you can have when we finally get back to normal.
Yeah, and that's really good because we know that these decisions, like your typical, and what community are you with, Tina?
I actually own strategic marketing. So we've been doing senior living marketing for 20 plus years.
Okay, great.
My clients I've had for 20 plus years. So I'm like an extension to their marketing because I know them well. But most of my clients are in central Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Excellent. But yeah, as we know, these decisions can take a long, long time. I mean, it's like I got a call the other day from somebody who's got a 2005 issue of Sourcebook. So I think that, that brochure that you mail to somebody today, they may not be responding to it for 3 years. So going sort of heavy into COVID on that printed brochure might not be a good strategy, but I like your digital strategy there.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tina. I got Mary Ellen Wilson with her hand raised. And Mary Ellen?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Now, what organization do you represent?
So I am with Visiting Angels Home Care Company, and I am the business development manager for several of our offices, including Gaithersburg, Silver Spring, DC, and Edgewater, Maryland. And I just wanted to piggyback on what Tina was speaking of. And one of the things that I have started doing during this unprecedented time of COVID is really creating deep partnerships with some of our area facilities. So yeah, there is a real fear. Adult children want to move their parents out. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the road. Yes, we're going in now with our screened caregivers and providing care in the home, but we know that that's not going to be the end game. So we're creating partnerships with some of the assisted living facilities and memory care facilities and even independent living, where you know what, we're a continuum of care. So we may have them right now, but guess what? You're still a player. Let's work together. And it's starting to really work out very nicely. The other thing that I've been working on is for those facilities that are not doing move-ins currently. We have clients who are on the waiting list, and so we're going in and we're that extra pair of hands while they wait to get into, while they wait for their move-in date. So there's definitely potential for some really great partnerships.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you piggybacked on that because Tina brought up the college analogy, and there's no one size fits all for anybody. And she also brought up waiting lists. And one of the best things for communities that have waiting lists or they can't accept people is to have this whole array of aging in place partners that are out there to support those prospects. Because trust me, if mom falls and breaks her hip, she's not going to the life plan community. She's going to the nursing home, which is something that might be a lot more apprehensive in the as we're moving forward. But well, thanks, Mary Ellen. I really appreciate you sharing.
Absolutely, and thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see. I'm looking at the clock, and it's 1 o'clock. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm gonna move this back to networking mode. I'll leave that open for a while and let you guys run around the tables and meet each other. Please send me an email with any feedback on this platform that might be helpful. We're not full in on this. So, for example, piggybacking on what Christy said, this Friday, we're using Zoom. We've got an awesome Frontlines profile of Knollwood. They're going to walk us through how they did 100% testing of their staff and residents. So make sure you jump on that. But anyways, I'm going to turn the presentation off. Thanks, Liz and Christy. Guys, have an enjoyable time. I'll send everybody a recording of this, and we'll see you on the next session. Thank you.